the Philippines. It's more fun. It's more fun in the Philippines. It's more fun in the Philippines. It's more fun. It's more fun in the Philippines. Philippine Islands. It's more fun in the Philippines.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the virtual GMM and webinar of the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated. It's a very nice morning. What we'd like to do is encourage everyone to please write a creative way of greeting and introduce yourself and organization in the chat room. And a nice prize awaits the most creative greeter. May I take this opportunity now to introduce our Master of Ceremony, Dr. Lilibeth Sierragon, who's currently the Dean of the College of International Tourism and Hospitality Management of LPU Manila. At the same time, she is also the ASEAN Master Trainer for Housekeeping. She's also the Vice President of ARME. And she's a very nice friend who has accepted the invitation to be our MC just a couple of days back. So thank you very much. Beth, take it away.
Yes, good morning, everyone. And of course, how can I say no to you, Director Tina, and of course, to our friends from TIBFI, from TESDA, and of course, from the Department of Tourism. Let me first start by acknowledging all our participants. Magandang umaga po. This is a blessed morning, and what is the best way to receive all our blessings? Of course, we have this very fruitful discussion. And of course, we would like to be part of this milestone, the first ever virtual GMM of TIBFI, of course, in cooperation with the Department of Tourism and TESDA. And of course, to lead us in prayer, may I call on the virtual floor Mr. Eliser Casas. He is the auditor of the Philippine Travel Agencies Association. Sir Eliser.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, okay, thank you. Let's put ourselves in the holy prayer of the Lord. Again, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour for a blessing and help us as we gather together. We pray for guidance in the matter at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and further to be the best we can be. Heavenly Father, we always pray for the global pandemic that has struck the world and affected our brothers and sisters around the globe. For all who have conducted coronavirus, we pray for their healing. For those who are particularly vulnerable, we pray for safety and protection. For all who experience fear and anxiety, we pray for peace of mind and spirit. For affected families who are facing difficult decisions between food on the table or public safety, we pray for policies that recognize their plight. For the public officials and decision makers, we pray for wisdom and guidance. Grant peace, comfort, healing, and be with us, Lord. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, so for our Good morning, sir, and thank you. For our technical briefing, of course, we need to be able to optimize today's session. These are just some of the few reminders that we have. Of course, first, to put cell phones in silent mode to reduce interruptions in concentration. It's a very engaging discussion, and so concentration is highly preferred. Of course, microphones will be turned off for all the participants, but this will not hamper your participation. So we have these tabs on your screen. So we encourage everyone to participate actively as you've started it. So you can put your comments in the chat box. You can either clap, agree, say your greetings. And of course, you can raise your hands if you have an urgent comment, but you have to be recognized first before you speak. Of course, most important on your screen is the Q&A tab. So we have two parts of this program, and on second part, we will have the webinar proper, from where you can ask our distinguished speakers interesting questions. Of course, we also would like to remind everyone that you have to stay for at least duration of 80% of the time of the session so that you will be given your e-certificates. We will also be flashing the evaluation link towards the end of the program, and no video will be turned on for all participants except for the speakers. The video will only be turned on at the end of the photo opportunity. Okay, and of course, we will be rewarding the most engaged participant for this morning. You see this very exciting and native goodies care of the Department of Tourism, specifically the Office of OIMD. We also have this valuable resource. It's small but packed with a lot of information because you have the 242 action competencies, and you can, this is a very good resource that you can use. Okay, let's try to look at the participants' profile. We have a very diverse, profile or demographics of the attendees. We started receiving registrations since July 3. And you try to look at your screen, we have the most number of participants who registered between 10 a.m. to 10:59 a.m. So we have 12.29%. And in terms of the date, we have the most number of participants who registered last July 15, 2020. So a few days before our webinar session for this morning. And then, of course, we have top two, July 17 and July 7. And looking at the general description, we have the most number of participants who registered last July 17 between 10 a.m. to 10:59 a.m. So that's around 7.92%. And followed by July 14 between 11 p.m. and 11:59 p.m. So this is according to a very good analytics done by the technical team. Now let's try to look at the cluster of attendees. So if you try to cluster it between academe, industry, and government, of course, we have the most number of attendees coming from academia. So we have around close to 60%, followed by the industry. So we have 28.1%. And of course, the government, 7.3%. So these are very good representations. Looking at the industry participants, we have the most number of attendees coming from the travel agency. So that's around 38.2%, followed by the accommodation sector at 20.9%, and F&B at 8.4%. Of course, you also have to acknowledge those industry participants coming from hospitality and tourism management consultancies. We also have MICE organizers. We have tourism instructors from the airlines and online travel agency and bed bank. For the academic participants, we have the most number of attendees from the Commission on Higher Education public institutions. We have 140 who registered at 44%, followed by those in the private sector at 38.2%. And of course, we have a very good representation as well from TESDA at 4.4%. Of course, we also would like to acknowledge our participants from the SUCs, coming from the DepEd, private, and public. For the government participants, we have, of course, from CHED, 66.2%, from DepEd, 10.5%, and from TESDA, 6.8%. let's look at the regional participation. So this webinar session in GMM is from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And I understand we also have a number of attendees from our Asian neighboring countries. So from NCR, we have the highest number of attendees at 37.5%. Next to NCR, we have Calabarzon at 18.8%, and of course, Central Luzon at 12.3%. And of course, at this point, we would like to call Ms. Fe AU, the Board of Trustee, member of the Philippine Tour Operators Association, FOA, to discuss the TIBFI beginnings, to give us an overview what it stands for and how important TIBFI in all our tourism and hospitality landscape. Ms. Fe?
I think Ms. Faye is, I think, experiencing some technical challenges. I will just do this particular segment in the presentation.
Okay,
So,
the floor is yours, Ma'am Tina.
Okay,
Go
for
ahead.
those who are not familiar with TIBFI, they're joining us for the first time. This is just a bit of information we'd like to share. TIBFI is actually, it originally started as a Hotel and Restaurant Industry Board and was formed in 1980. It was renamed to Tourism Industry Board Foundation in 1991 to expand its coverage and membership to all other sectors in the tourism industry. This was approved by the SEC in March 1992. We were very happy to know that we are the only surviving industry board from the National Manpower Youth Council then, before it was transferred to TESDA. Our vision, we're very happy to say that we had a review of our strategic plans and workshop, and we're very happy to acknowledge the Bayan Academy was very instrumental in this. Our vision is we envision highly professional education, training, research, and development institutions that are responsive to the competency needs and workforce requirements of the tourism industry by 2025. And so the topic that we have for today is very apt for this. Our mission is to converge government, industry, education, and training sectors in facilitating tourism human resource development. So that's why the breadth and width of the participants is very crucial in our webinar as well. Our objectives to help develop an adequate supply of competent tourism professionals. And the second objective is to ensure that education, training, research, and development institutions meet local and international standards to match the needs of tourism professionals and industry. And that's why we work closely with TESDA and CHED, and of course, other agencies as well. We're very strong in the ASEAN MRA, and that's why we work closely with ASIC Rika and her team in the OIMP. We were recently sworn into office by Secretary Romulo, and that's what the picture you saw. The role of TIBFI and ASEAN MRA on TIBFI is we are actually very critical in making sure we are the National Tourism Professional Board as indicated there. So we're very happy to share that information. The National Tourism Organization is the Department of Tourism, and the Tourism Professional Certification Board is TESDA. The TIBFI composition right now, we have private. Who are, previous slide please, Beth. Sorry. We have three types of membership for the private. We have associate, these are professional organizations. We also have institutional, these are individual enterprises. And for individual, these are people that who are stakeholders in tourism industry. We also have government. Currently, these are our advisors, the Department of Tourism, TESDA, as well as UPAIT, who was part of the founding membership of TIBFI. And we're very happy to have with us also labor, which is represented by the Noreen Central. Currently, our members are as follows. So we have, next slide, please. We have regular associate members. The next would be, we have a good list of associate members. Beth, can we just go on to the next slide? We have ATA, we have Raja, we have PCP, etc. And we also have, next slide, institutional members, and we're very happy to recognize you here on this particular slide. So if your school is not yet a member, of your organization is not yet a member, please join us and we will show you how you can be a member of this. We also have individual members, and currently these are some of the individual members we have alongside the ASEAN Masters as well as the National Masters and Trainers. If you're interested to be a member, take a screenshot. The QR code is actually there. You can actually download the membership form in our website. And these are the membership types as well as the fees that we have. Okay. Next slide. Okay, now my president's report. We have been very active, but we slowed down during the initial phase of COVID, the second quarter, which was affected March. But let me just go through some of the accomplishments that we've had. For fourth quarter of last year, we participated in the third camp assess, which was spearheaded by TESDA. Some of our ASEAN Masters were actually participants in this. We conducted the 5th HR Congress in Baguio. We reviewed the ASEAN MRA or TP Common ASEAN Tourism Curriculum, as well as the toolboxes during a workshop in December, and we also had another workshop in February. We implemented activities in the MICE roadmap, and we've had several meetings with that. We continue to do our membership drive, as well as seek additional members for the BOA, the Board of Advisors of TIBFI. We've sent letters to CHED and DepEd, and we were able to have a courtesy call with DepEd, courtesy of USEC Alain Pasqua. We also had a change in our secretariat, used to be manned by Carlo Co to Noemi Singco right now. For our accomplishments for the first half of 2020, we coordinated with DepEd regarding the DepEd Learning Commons as well as the CHED PhilConnect to make sure that the ASEAN toolboxes are made available in this virtual repository. We also participated in the MICE roadmap, special working group on human resource, together with Paseos, that is the chair. TIBFI is actually co-chair for this particular working group, and the development of the survey and attendance in several technical working groups that we have had. We reviewed the DOT's ASEAN Masters with the ASEAN Common Competency Standards for Tourism Professionals, as well as the CATC, and we were represented in the Bayan Academy's launch of the NPE SDP Action Programming and Resource Allocation Planning Concluding Forum, and as well as the results presentation. We attended recently the PIBED's launch of a future that works with ILO and the Australian government. And recently we submitted our documents for TESDA recognition for industry bodies. We continue to work with TESDA with many meetings. We've had several activities as well as with DOT. Next slide, please. What are our plans for the second half? TIBFI is actually celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. We had a lot of plans, but it had to be shelved because of the current pandemic that we have. But we're starting off right now with the conduct of webinar series, industry and training, business options. This particular webinar is being handled. We're conducting it right now, and we're planning already for a remote and virtual practical perspectives from CHED Industry and Academe, which will happen sometime August. We're looking for a common date. Our DOT BOA has Board of Advisor is actually going to be hosting us again for this particular webinar. We're also returning the secretary to the newly renovated UPAIT. We are going to maintain the TIBFI website and Facebook account to make sure that we provide information, timely information for our members. We are going to be conducting virtual Board of Trustees meetings. We just had one, the first one 2 weeks back. We will also continue with the project on revising the toolboxes as well as the CATC and complete hopefully some of the activities in the MICE roadmap. If you can just see the picture that we have, next slide. This was our first virtual Board of Trustee meeting last July 16, and we took a lot of discussions here. We will schedule another discussion next. For the financial report, Dr. Glo Baken Wong Si is indisposed right now. Maybe we can say a little prayer for her recovery. But right now, I'd like to present our financial report, which is found on the next page. She did the report. Currently, this is, as of July 16, these are some of the expenses that we've had, as well as total expenses is only around 4,114 pesos. And our bank balances, next slide please, is we have 1.3 in our savings account, and for our current account, we have around 120,000. Thank you very much. And now we go to our webinar. Back to you, Beth.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Tina. It seems that you're very busy still, and that TP is really working hard despite the limitations. And of course, we have to laud all the board of trustees and officers of TP. Before we start the webinar proper, again, just a reminder, if you have questions, we have our Q&A tab. The chat box will save us a place for you to interact, but we would like to encourage you to use the Q&A tab for your questions. We have invited the best speakers who will be giving us a glimmer of hope. This is a very timely discussion, and I feel that most of the attendees will be able to highly relate on the topic for this morning. And so we start with our first speaker. She has 20 years of diversified experience in the field of human resource. Her expertise is in policy development and implementation, employee relations, including training and development. She has an extensive experience in complex companies. Her milestones includes a track record of productive relationships and a management style that has provided bottom line results in all the companies she was affiliated with. She has a degree of psychology from the De La Salle University. Currently, she is the group director of human resources of Mega World Hotels and the AHRM president. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a round of applause to Ms. Divine De Los Reyes. Ms. Divine.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms.
Magandang umaga
Divine.
po sa lahat. Good morning din, Beth.
Good morning, ma'am.
Miss Tina. Good morning for inviting me in this webinar. Miss Tina, you're on mute, ma'am. Okay, so let me start. I'm happy to be here this morning to share with all of you what Mega World Hotel has. Mega World Hotels is known to be a 100% homegrown Filipino hotel brands. And during this pandemic, I think this is the most challenging in HR of all times. And the industry is the most badly hit. And just like other hotels, we all have our risk management and crisis management plan in place. But the execution, I think, is really different, that we have to be versatile in our ways of doing things. Next slide, please. So, in Mega World Hotels, we are ready to face the new reality. Safe stay for our guests and associates. And in the anticipation of the resumption of businesses, actually many organizations are contemplating how to conduct the manner of operations in their own settings. And us in Mega World Hotels, we banner new reality. And this is actually bannered by our mother company as a call to create vital initiatives to ensure the safety of all our guests, partners, and associates in the properties. And in the following slides, I will present to you our very own Safe Stay program, which features health and safety protocols to address this new reality we are in, because in Mega World Hotels, we commit to your safe stay because we care. Next slide, please. So I'll be sharing our best practices in the guest rooms, food and beverage, front of the house, and back of the house. Next slide, please. Providing housekeeping, you can see from the photo, no? Providing housekeeping adequate personal protective equipment in cleaning the room. So everyone is wearing their PPEs, and providing guests with extra amenities set up to minimize face-to-face contact between associates and guests, and ensuring cleanliness of all guest room to the highest standard. High-touch surfaces are thoroughly sanitized with right disinfecting chemicals. These are like, diba, the remote control, the bathroom, the knobs. No? A safe stay clean seal shall be placed, no, in the guest rooms to inform guests that their rooms have been disinfected thoroughly and have not accessed prior to their arrival. Next slide, please. Still in the rooms, disinfecting beds using UV lights are also being done. Rooms, curtains with steam, setting up extra trash cans to dispose with biohazards such as used PPEs. And we have also provided guests with sanitation kits containing sanitizing liquid, wet wipes, and face masks. Diba before our welcome amenities are the fruits, no? Now we have to adapt to the new reality. And part of our welcome amenity now are the sanitation kits. Next slide, please. Still in the rooms, here you can see the 5-point safe stay campaign. Omega World Hotels is actually gearing up for the new reality regime in the hospitality industry as it embarks on a world-class health and safety campaigns for its guests. And Safe Stay Because We Care program is actually our collaboration with our longtime partner, TIBFI Philippines. And in sanitation, because we want to assure guests of a safe stay with its stringent health measures. Kasi as a highly credible and established supplier kasi si TIBFI, our hotels have created safer, cleaner, and healthy environment across all facilities from our all-day dining, fitness center, pool area, guest rooms, to even our employees' workspaces. It's really different now when you enter the hotel. Before, we expect our front agent staff, our associates in the public areas, our food attendants wearing that beautiful smile, no? But now they have to wear the mask. Okay, so you have to have an eye contact, and of course, see pa rin the smile in their eyes. Yeah, it's really hard. Okay, so now that one of our hotel is actually open, you can try and visit and see for yourself. No? The safety campaign has 5 components, and the 5 components are actually safe welcome, safe space, safe team, safe eats, and safe sleeps. And this is to ensure our guests' welfare from arrival to departure. Next slide, please. So these are the high-frequency touch points in guest rooms. As I've mentioned, like doorknobs, light switch, the telephones, no, remote controls, the bathrooms. These are actually all thoroughly disinfected and sanitized during every cleaning process. Sabi nga dito, sabi ni Miss Baldino, we wear a smile under our mask. Kasi makikita mo pa rin, even if you're wearing a mask, you can see the eyes smiling. So housekeeping services shall be minimized to significant extent. So actually, we're cleaning at least once every 3 days or upon request. So we put a lot of towels inside the room, lot of bottled waters already. So mas lessen na yung touch point, no, contact. Next slide, please. Okay, so in the next slides, I'll be discussing about F&B naman, F&B services. Now, dine-in operations were actually allowed at 30% capacity. Safety measures being observed by guests and associates. Sabi nga, sa Safe Eats, which Mega World Hotels banner, our other safety measures are featured actually in the next slides. Makikita natin that lesser tables and chairs, no, enhanced F&B services to be observed, and ensuring the safe dining experience of our guests through the practice of pack instead of buffet breakfast. We also have our employees wearing PPEs, even the culinary and service staffs, and practicing physical distancing between wait staff and guests. Yan. So nakasmile pa rin, even wearing the mask. All right, next slide, please. Our restaurants and coffee shops, tables and chairs are lessened, as you can see from this photo, and rearranged to practice physical distancing among our guests. Function room spaces are actually likewise rearranged for corporate meetings. But Mega World Hotels is actually introducing virtual meets, gourmet eats, di ba? We will not stop serving food. Even if you're at the comfort of your home, we can still serve food while doing the virtual meetings, like what we're doing now, di ba? Next slide, please. All right, still under F&B, in line with the safe eats aspect, we launch new F&B services. This is just a sample of Be on the Go. This is by Cafe Belmont in Manila and Out of the Box by Savoy Cafe. These are our branded food to go service, which are available for takeout, pickup, and delivery. Actually, it aims to bring hotel quality gourmet eats within the comforts of your home. Product and services, innovation by offering food boxes. May mga hot boxes pa nga kami. You can actually request for hot boxes so that when the food reach your house, pag open natin, it's still hot, no, and fresh. And other food items for delivery and grab and go, as well as going to contactless transaction via the online food ordering in e-concierge by Mega World Hotels platform. Yan. Next slide, please. So wala pa bang questions? I'm sure you're excited to go back to the hotels and stay with us. And here, in the front of the house, safe welcome, no? After safe sleep, safe stay, safe eats. Safe welcome means warmly greeting our guests to the hotel as we check their body temperature and proper wearing of mask before entry. Dati, no ID, no entry, but now, no mask, no entry na. Disinfecting mats, we have also the sanitizing agents and queuing marks for physical distancing are all installed. All right. Next slide, please. Now here, front desk and concierge counters are actually protected with acrylic or plexiglass cover. Soon, Mega World Hotels e-concierge, ayan ma'am, is online check-in and check-out and filling out of health declaration form. So we made use of the technology. And I just would like to share also that even the acrylic or the plexiglass covers is being done by our engineering in-house. Ayan. So mas naging productive sila while they're on lockdown. Next slide, please. So here, you can see the e-concierge. Yan. And for front of the house, the standing queues toward public areas, the counters, the guest elevators, you will see all the plastic strip covering the elevator buttons, and this is actually sanitized every hour. Yan. And I hope, no, if you will visit one of our hotels, maging masunurin po tayo sa lahat because your safety is actually in your hands if we follow all the rules and regulations mandated by the government. Next slide, please. And here you can see the use of protective barriers on the front desk and key card disinfection after use. The misting of public areas is done regularly also. All our public attendants are equipped and with adequate PPEs, regular cleaning and sanitizing of public area high touch points and surfaces are being done. During the early stage of pandemic, this is where the scare is, no? Some of the hotels are not ready and they're not, they're scared to accept guests. But in Mega World Hotels, inisip namin na bayan muna, especially for the OFWs coming back to the Philippines. So we embrace them, and because we are ready, we start working on our risk management plan and our other plans, no, for us to welcome this new reality. Kaya po tuloy-tuloy na nagkaroon din kami ng guests, and I would like to share also that none of our hotel staff actually suffered from the virus. Siguro naging sanay sila how it is being done. So we are praying that we continuously, get or accept guests, and all our associates will follow the protocols. And here you can see, the front of the house. There are limited access, for the shuttles also. So especially for our Boracay properties, if they will open soon, the allocation of guests inside the van are also limited. Next slide, please. And here for the back of the house, screening of associates are actually being done, at the entry of the employees entrance. If we are looking after the welfare and safety of our guests, as HR, we also take good care of our employees. We ensure that they still have duties, they maximize their leave credits, and we allocate holding area also, where associates with symptoms can stay before further medical and fit to work evaluation. So everything is in place. We have conducted even a webinar about the new reality to all our associates para hindi sila nalilito where to go, what to do in case the virus will hit any of them and their families. Next slide, please. Here, associates wearing masks at all times, and of course, observing social distancing even inside our locker rooms. And the locker rooms are actually provided with high-grade soap and sanitizer. From here on the right of the photo, the hotel clinic is an isolated area with plastic cover. Accommodates only one patient at a time. Ganyan siya. Next slide, please. Here, I'm sorry, please go back to the previous slide, ma'am. Here, you can see the associates cafeteria, chairs and tables, just like our restaurants. They are rearranged to allow physical distancing between them. There are queuing stickers also on the floor to follow the protocol, and of course the cafeteria door is installed with foot pedal, so para yung mga high touch points hindi na natin gagamitin. Next slide, please. Briefings and trainings regularly regarding the implementation of the hygiene and safety protocol to all staff are being done. And this will be my last slide, So this is circle of happiness actually. Yan, from here, makikita nyo that we have our Dalgona coffee. Kasi during the pandemic, usong-uso ang K-drama. So we asked them to prepare and send us photos of their Dalgona coffee. Ayan, ma'am. Next photo, please. And also, we have the 5-day happiness challenge. We asked them to send to us, syempre may mga prizes yan. We keep them busy even during pandemic. We have to be very, very creative talaga. Next photo, please. Here you can see also, I'm just a TikTok challenge. Yan, I'm just a kid TikTok challenge. Pati TikTok, nadaanan din namin. Next photo. So here we also have the Chef in Me challenge, because we are receiving a lot of ayuda, 'di ba? Mga sardinas. So they have created a lot of different menus, in the Chef in Me challenge with the sardines. Next photo, please. And yan, we did also the in-house haircut. Kasi, di ba, during that time, we cannot go to the barbershop, to the parlor. We had our retreat then in-house. So those employees who are serving the guests and in the hotel during the lockdown, kasi nadaanan rin natin ng Holy Week, we had our in-house retreat. We provided them monthly with vitamin C. And ayan, we celebrate pa rin birthdays and events. We had movie, and also meron din kaming video ke. Next photo, please. And this is the new reality webinar, and it's being done across all properties. As of this time, we have a total of 10 properties in the Philippines. needs. Next photo, please. Still a webinar. And this is a photo from our Iloilo property. Next photo, please. Ayan, with our GM Nat Lim. Next photo, please. And aside from that, we have created a mural. So yan, ma'am. You can show all the photos already to keep them busy. And I'm happy to know that there are a lot of talented, a lot of skilled. Also, they have done, this one is in Twin Lakes in Tagaytay. Yan, they have already unveiled their mural. And then the last photo is our mural in Iloilo. This is done also by our employees. No? Yeah, so sobrang artistic nila talaga and very, very talented. So this is our property in Richmond, Iloilo. I think that's it. Thank you very much, and we look forward to have you in one of our hotels. Twin Lakes Hotel in Tagaytay is now open, so you can check in and stay with us, but only for 21 years old to 59 years old. Maraming
Okay.
salamat.
Thank you very much, Ms. Divine de los Reyes. Of course, we're excited to visit your properties, and we love the concept of still spreading happiness despite the pandemic. Thank you for sharing your best
Yeah.
practices. May I just remind all our webinar participants, you might key in your questions in our Q&A tab. So all questions will be recognized after we finish all the presentations. Okay?
Thank you very much, Ms. Dean Beth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, moving on to our next speaker. Our next speaker has more than 25 years of experience in the travel and tourism industry. He was once a Secretary General of the Federation of ASEAN Travel Associations, and among his career milestones includes involvement in various executive capacities with leading international airlines, including Northwest Airlines, Qatar Airways, Watania Airways, Gulf Air, and Cebu Pacific. He finished his degree of business management from San Beda College in Manila. Currently, he is the general manager of Asia Reps Travel Services, and he is the president of PTAA. Fondly called Richie, let us welcome on the virtual floor Mr. Jose Maria Reynard Gregory Tuaño. Sir Richie.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tina. Good morning, Lilibet. I would like to thank TIBFI for having me. PTAA has been a member of TIBFI for some years now, and we are proud to be part of TIBFI, most especially under the leadership of Director Tina Aquino. So, and it's there was no reason to say no when I was invited to actually take part of this event today, and I'm happy to share my inputs with regards to the issues that we have on hand. So if I go on my first slide, we were asked how the travel agencies were affected with regards to the pandemic. Well, the travel agents and tour operators have been badly or even severely affected, and it will continue to do so for an undetermined length of time with all the uncertainties. No, now the travel agents have felt the effect even before the lockdown, starting from January when we had the Taal eruption, and it all followed suit, one event after the other, until officially we had the lockdown last March. So the travel agents and the tourism, the tour operators belong to the MSMEs, and one of the biggest problem we have of this lengthy lockdown is liquidity. So as long this continues, our liquidity would always be our biggest challenge. And there are already some travel agents who have pondered upon of closing down their offices and to work temporarily from home. They've actually been working from home, but they are looking more on a long term of just working from home. They are also caught in a dilemma wherein the excess staff, they would probably want to lay off, but because of liquidity, they also are having a problems of uh, paying the separation pay for affected employees. So there's a dilemma there where, and they are actually just buying time on how best they could address the situation. So on the next slide, this is currently, I'll speak about PTAA. This is currently our membership as of the moment. As of July 15, we have 605, out of which there are 439 regular members. Regular members are the travel agents and the tour operators. Now, on the next slide, based on a random survey we have done, we have, out of the 439, we have 419 who are temporarily closed. Now, we actually pegged an average of about 10 employees per travel agent. So we're looking at more than 4,000 employees that are affected as of the moment, out of which there are already reported 200 laid off employees. And again, as this would continue, we can expect more number of employees will be laid off until such time that we are not in control of the spread of COVID. Now, what is our forecast? We were asked what is our forecast, and the prospect. I'm sorry, but I don't have better news to say. But because of the prospect of the pandemic is still very uncertain. We don't know when it's going to be put on control and when confidence of travelers will be put back to start traveling. I guess, best guesstimate is quarter first of 2023. And I guess that's not different from other industry professionals and industry leaders as well on their forecast. They are looking at the same forecast as well, where we can look at a pre-COVID-19 situation returning back. On my next slide, again, what assistance are we looking for? The human resource, the kind of training. I think more than the staff as of the moment. I think the travel agents, the companies itself need some human resource management trainings, handling of temporary and permanent layoffs, salary reduction, and all other austerity measures that we can do during this pandemic. Now, the other training that we could look at for both employers and employees is what are business options that can be provided. I'm talking about non-travel related business options that we could pivot as of the moment, be it either on a temporary basis or interim basis, or on a more sustainable basis where we can actually gain income while the pandemic is going on. Again, like I've said, the business opportunities are there. We just need to identify them. As of the moment, travel-related businesses is not very healthy. I mean, of course, we have our first presenter from the Mega World Hotels. I see it very promising. We might get some business selling hotel accommodations for local tourists. But basically, that's it for now. I mean, we cannot even sell tours as of the moment, and be it local or even abroad. On number 3, others. As of the moment, we're looking for a waiver of LGU business permit fees and other corresponding fees that continues to add on to our overhead expenses. Tax relief on both LGU and national levels. We are also looking at further moratoriums on bank loans and credit card billings. Then we also have looked at into the staff salary and office rental subsidy. In other countries, they have implemented this. Now, while it sounds impossible, but this is something that we will put on our bucket list, and probably in some form or ways, the government will be able to help us in this situation as of the moment. So basically, that's it for my presentation. Thank you very much. Tina or Lilibet, back to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Sir Richie. Again, if you have questions, we will entertain them later after all the presentations are done. Okay, and of course, we would like to move on to our next speaker. Share the screen. All right. Our next speaker has joined TRIPS in 1996 as the president and general manager, and he was connected with Marsman Tours and Travel Agency from 1980 to 1986, and he's one of the pillars of the modern day tourism in the country. Among his milestones includes being the catalyst in promoting the Philippines as a destination under the banner of Philippine Travel Mart that has brought together a collection of tour and travel vendors to showcase Philippine tourism products both here and abroad. He finished his degree from the Adamson University as chemical engineer, and currently he serves as the president of Philtoa. Please welcome on the virtual floor, Mr. Cesar R. Cruz. Sir Cesar, good morning.
Magandang umaga at mabuhay sa lahat. Nakapasok pala. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Mabuhay and warm greetings to everybody. Special thanks to the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated for inviting Philtoa to your timely webinar. And congratulations to your annual general membership meeting. My apologies if I have to tweak a bit the title of your webinar, Hope for Tourism and Hospitality Workers, for the purpose of my discussion. Okay, let me start with some good news by looking at the figures of Philippine tourism in 2019. The Philippine tourism arrivals at the end of the year-end of 2019 made a breakthrough, even surpassing the projection of having 8,260,913 bodies of foreign tourists coming to the Philippines, which is about 15.24% increase from the 2018 arrival. Next slide, please. Some more good news, especially on the economic contribution of the Philippine tourism. We were able to increase the average stay of our clients, of our tourists, from 9 nights to 9.5 nights, which is a big thing because tourism economics is basically measured in terms of the length of stay of tourists. Our contribution to the GDP is 12.7%, almost 13%. Which is really a very, very substantial contribution. The TDGVA amounted to 3.48 trillion pesos. The inbound receipts that's coming from the inbound tourists increased by 548.76 billion pesos. Okay. Very significant is the contribution of the domestic tourism with recorded an expenditure of 3.14 trillion pesos in 2019, an increase of 10.49%. This represents 10.8% of the 12.7% contribution to the GDP of the Philippine tourism. This makes domestic tourism the biggest contributor to the tourism industry. Tourism is often referred to as a sunshine industry, as it registered 5.71 million tourism professionals, or additional 350,000 tourism-related jobs. This is like saying 14 out of 100 employees are in the tourism-related industries. Okay, that's the good news. It was on December 2019 when news about the coronavirus There was already a clamor to impose travel ban from China, but not until late January when travel ban to and from China was ordered. We started with 3 reported cases of infected Chinese tourists, and look where we are now. On 16 March, NCR and most parts of the country were locked down. Under ECQ, Enhanced Community Quarantine, and from then we had a lot of this alphabet soup being toasted to us. ECQ, GCQ, and ECQ, and GCQ. The government closed the airports in Luzon on 20 March. Only essential companies remained open with all the non-essential businesses and establishments closed. The economy was put on hold. Most of the establishments in the tourism industry are considered non-essential. 13,833 companies, or 81% of tourism companies with 222,422 employees were closed temporarily, while the rest, about 3,328 companies adopted the flexible work arrangements. Most of these companies, if not all, are classified as MSMEs. As of June 20, almost half of 1 million registered MSMEs have already declared stop operation. From investors and airlines, integrated resorts and hotels, to owners of travel agencies and tour operators, all are bleeding from zero business. Even if they are allowed to open, they will need fewer employees, since under the new health and hygiene protocols of hotels, for instance, will be allowed only 50% of their normal capacity with regards to social distancing. Philippine tourism receipts is down by 35% just in the first quarter of 2020, compared to the same period in 2019. From 134 billion pesos, it went down to 85 billion pesos. The UNWTO, or the United Nations World Tourism Organization, has reported a decrease of 22% in the first quarter of 2020, already a loss of about $80 billion in receipts. Furthermore, expect 58 to 78% decrease in international tourist arrivals for the year 2020. The figure is not even projection. It's not even a projection, as final outcome will depend on the speed of containment of coronavirus, duration of travel restriction, and shutdown of borders. This is by far the worst result in the historical series of international tourism since 1950, and would put an abrupt end to a 10-year period of sustained growth since 2009 financial crisis. Well, the start of the recovery of international demand is expected only in 2021. Very optimistic. Domestic demand will recover faster than international demand. Considerable challenges remain ahead, starting with unknown duration of the pandemic and travel restrictions in a context of global economic recession. The World Travel and Tourism Council, or WTTC, estimated that it could take up to 10 months for the industry to recover. I think it's a dream. 9 months since the first case of COVID-19 was diagnosed, there's still no sign that the spread is slowing down. This means that the road to recovery could still be far stretched. Fitch forecasts that tourist arrivals and tourism receipts will not go back to pre-COVID levels even 5 years hence. So what do we do? We agree that domestic travel can drive the tourism industry to recovery based on the report released by the Department of Tourism, entitled Philippine Travel Survey, Insights on Filipino Travel Behavior Post-COVID-19, June 29. Domestic travel will lead the recovery of the country's tourism industry, with Filipino travelers expecting to go to the destinations closer to home and spending less amid lingering health concerns caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Other key insights of the survey says domestic leisure travel will lead the recovery of Philippine tourism. Majority of the travelers expect a reduction of their income and travel budget. Health and safety remains the primary concern of travelers. Travelers prefer reduced contact activities once leisure travel restrictions are lifted. Travelers prefer online and digital channels for convenience and reduced contacts. And travelers plan to travel close to home. Really, domestic travel is the low-lying fruit right now. But we will discover later that there are a lot of obstacles even for the domestic travel to jumpstart. Most of the destinations are still closed to essential travelers outside of the community. Even the community in some of those destinations are also hesitant to open up. This is because of, perhaps for the community, the trauma that they experienced when there was a situation of over-tourism in their area. We have recommended to the Department of Tourism that convincing the destinations to open will not be just directed to the LGU, but also to the community and to under the principle of sustainable, inclusive, and responsible tourism to allay fears that the trauma that they had when they were experiencing the mass tourism in their area will not be repeated. What have we done? The Philippine Tour Operators Association during this period has submitted recommendations to the Department of Tourism on the need for financial assistance to mitigate the impact of the pandemic to our stakeholders. I would agree with Richie. Most of our members are already suffering, and they have already signified that some of them are really closing already. As a matter of fact, in one region, they were saying that they have already used up their operating fund of 500,000 required to apply for accreditation again with the Department of Tourism. Liquidity is really the problem. It is said that MSMEs could only survive within the 6-month period, and we are already over the 6-month period and still going. So you cannot imagine at the end of this pandemic, or even when things would see something, a brighter things, what will happen really until when our MSMEs can survive. In addition, we conducted the first virtual general membership meeting last 26 May 2020 to tackle the issue of Philippine tourism in the new normal. Track 1 of the general membership meeting was a safety protocols on accommodation, transportation, theme parks, health and wellness, tours, and travel agency. The second track, Getting Back in Business, discussed on the stimulus program to be provided under the Bayanihan Act. For the first time, since the first virtual general membership meeting and trying to simulate the physical general membership meeting, we allowed 30 minutes of kumustahan online. So they were able to interact with each other, and we gave them the 30 minutes of being loud and noisy and just saying, hi, how are you? Kumusta ka na? Buhay ka pa ba? PhilTOA conducted its first webinar last June 22, 2020, Aruy or Arise. Tourism Financial Stimulus Program Review. Congressman Sol Aragones discussed the pending Arise bill in the Congress, where about 54 billion pesos is allocated to the tourism industry as part of the stimulus program. Yusek Bong Benson discussed on how to access the BOI incentives and assistance. Ms. Alma Jimenez presented a proposal on how the fund should be used to assure assistance to the micro enterprises. That's us. The reactor panelists are real people in the industry, tour operator like Lax Mendoza, transport operator, Pusing, and tour guide, we have Balu. PhilTOA will have its fourth general membership meeting on our second virtual meeting on 12 August 2020 with the theme, It's a Go, the Fun Philippines Tourism Green Lanes, to tackle the issue on why, when, how, should our local tourism destinations open to non-essential travelers? After almost 6 months, most of us are already suffering not only financially, but even mentally and emotionally, brought by the pandemic. So we have included in our next GMM, distress. In terms of product development, marketing, and promotion, Philto will be doing the first online travel show, check your bucket list, with the carrying theme of Pinas Muna, Travel Tomorrow. The 3-day event will feature tour operators, travel agencies, accommodation, transportation, and other tourism-related services to promote and sell online 24/7. It is a seamless online transaction from reservation, booking, payment, and insurance, issuance of service vouchers. 5-hour live podcast daily to feature remote marketing presentation of the different regions in the Philippines, from the B2B meetings, cultural presentation, and virtual tours. The event will be on 23 to 25 October 2020. We are partnering with Turismo PH for the platform. See you all in the cyberspace. Philto is also partnering with Tourism Promotions Board in terms of destination inventory and creating green lane circuit for the new tour packages adapted to the new normal. The 31st Philippine Travel Mart will proceed, but with a new date and venue. It will be on 4 to 6 December 2020 at the Mega Trade Hall, occupying halls 1 to 3. It will be staged under the guidelines of the new normal. The Philippine Travel Mart is fulfilling its commitment for the annual staging of the longest running travel show as mandated to us by the Department of Tourism when it was turned over to Philtoa. The board agrees that we need to push this tourism event as part of convincing our travelers that it's already okay to get out of your houses, enjoy again your travel holidays. Finally, I just would like to end this with Philtoa's hashtags. Bounce back, we rise as one, Pinas Muna, travel tomorrow. Maraming salamat po.
Yes, maraming salamat, Mr. Cesar Cruz. We have to distress. That's a very important thought. And of course, we would like to, again, participate in the 31st Philippine Travel Mart. Okay, so moving on to our next speaker for this morning. Of course, we have this very energetic lady from the Department of Tourism, and among her work accomplishments includes being the DOT Regional Director since 2010. Career milestones would include being part of Tourism Development and Planning Team for Product Diversification and Promotions in Central Visayas. Also obtaining the road projects funded under the Tourism Road Infrastructure Project trip with the Department of Public Works and Highways. She finished her degree of BS Tourism from the Cebu State College. Currently, she is the Director of the Office of Industry Manpower Development of the Department of Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome on the virtual floor Director Rowena Lu Y. Montesillo. Director Weng.
Beth, good morning.
Good morning po.
Salamat. Oo, buti na lang, hindi mo na-mention na matanda na ako sa DOT. Tagal na.
You're forever young. You found the fountain of youth.
Thank you very much. And before I start, I would like to, of course, thank and congratulate our private sector presenters, si Ms. Divine, Cesar, and of course, Richie. And later on, after me, will be our government partners, and this will be represented by Director Nelly Rivera of PTTC, and then of course si Director Patty and si Director Carlo. So marami pa po tayong speaker. There will be 3 after me. And of course, allow me also to acknowledge the presence of our DOT Assistant Secretary Maria Rica Bueno. Thank you, ASEC, for your presence this morning. Mabuhay po from the Department of Tourism. A very good morning, maayong buntag sa tanan, and congratulations to the Tourism Industry Board Foundation Incorporated, headed by the chairperson, no less, Ms. Tina Aquino, for staging this webinar and general membership meeting. The Department of Tourism is always happy to partner and host the TIBFI's events and programs. On behalf of the Department of Tourism, the Office of Industry Manpower Development, we are pleased to share with you updates on the programs of our office with regard to tourism human capital development. Explain ko lang po, no, I'd like to stress that the Office of Industry Manpower Development is tasked to do trainings, no? And this is being implemented most of the time by our regional offices. So lahat po ng regions, hindi po OIMD lang ang tasked to do the trainings. Okay? So the start of 2020, we have laid out plans and programs that OIMD will pursue to address the needs of the tourism workforce. We all know by now that the COVID-19 pandemic had a tremendous impact to the tourism industry. There may have been a slowdown in our implementation of programs, activities, and projects, especially during the start of the community quarantine. But like what most, if not all, have done, we had to pivot and shift and embrace to what we now call the new normal. It was during the Holy Week when we prepared for these online sessions. That is why last April 14, with the guidance of Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, our Undersecretary Art Bongcato Jr., and of course Asik Rika, our office launched the DOD online learning courses. It was a challenge for all of us to mount these webinars and online trainings. We were all caught unaware and had to cope with technical difficulties. We all know that, in government, we are so used to face-to-face. Tapos, nung dumating si COVID-19, biglang naging online, and we actually were not prepared. However, our OIMD team was able to rise to the challenge. And to date, we have conducted 26 webinars with 8,410 Zoom participants, 143,069 views, and 463,749 reached via Facebook. We also continue to implement the Tourism Industry Skills Program together with our regional offices, who are now very active in conducting training programs. And to add to that, OIMD as an office is also implementing trainings. This is outside the webinars that we are doing every week. So kung mapapansin niyo, kung naging suki na po kayo ng Department of Tourism, we hold our webinars every Thursday of the week. So that's four times a month. And now, since I think end of June, we started July, we already were able to conduct 4 trainings. Ang OIMD po, we go to, because we were able to cluster ourselves, North Luzon, Visayas, South Luzon, and Mindanao. So we were also able to conduct already 4 trainings, the online marketing for Mabuhay, accommodation for North Luzon, and then the Filipino brand of service in the Visayas cluster, tourist safety in the new normal for South Luzon cluster, and culinaria for Mindanao, with almost 100 participants. Okay, so this also includes farm tourism, still a flagship program of the Department of Tourism. Last June, the OIMD supported the conduct of the farm tourism webinar followed with consultations with regional stakeholders. So there were 4 clusters as well. They went nationwide, divided into the 4 clusters. And tomorrow we will be again attending, though IMD will be attending this meeting with the Department of Agriculture to plan for a new module for farm tourism. Next slide. For our core and advocacy programs, we have the Filipino Brand of Service Excellence Program. This is one of the trainings which we converted to online version because we really feel that it's not anymore the usual customer service, but should be the Filipino Brand of Service Excellence. And we felt that there is really a need to convert right away into online the training. The Filipino Brand of Service highlights the Filipino values which are embodied in the 7 M's, which are makamaylikha, makatao, makakalikasan, makabansa, may bayanihan, masayahin, and may pag-asa. Our vision is to propagate the FBS to all frontliners and workers into the tourism enterprises and eventually across all sectors, including government agencies. So hindi lang po yun ang plano. It's not only for the tourism industry stakeholders or frontliners. Next slide. For tourist safety and security, we have online sessions on food safety, sanitation, and hygiene, where we partnered with Ecolab. This is a module that is in demand now, especially with the strict health protocols that are required by government. And so we are have allowed the regional offices to use this module to help our enterprises. Last year, we renewed our Memorandum of Understanding with the Philippine National Police. And this year, in the midst of the pandemic, we have constantly coordinated with our PNP counterparts. I think only last Friday, we had a meeting with the PNP. And this August, we will launch our first online module on the guidelines for top cops in the new normal. This is actually to prepare our tourist police on how to deal with guests in the new normal. So we're preparing them we actually prepared guideline presentations, both sa PNP and the Department of Tourism. To make our industry more inclusive, the DOT also advocates barrier-free tourism, which is aimed at addressing the needs of persons with disabilities, pregnant women, senior citizens, children, and other persons with special needs. This program is in partnership with the National Council on Disability Affairs. We continue to also implement the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement on Tourism Professionals, which covers the 6 labor divisions on housekeeping, front office, food production, food and beverage service, travel agency, and tour operation services. This is in partnership with, of course, the Tourism Industry Board Foundation, Inc., TIBFI, which serves as our National Tourism Professional Board, and the Technical Education Skills Development Authority, TESDA, which serves as our Tourism Professional Certification Board. And we have other major programs as well. The OIMD is part of the Secretariat for the Tourism Response and Recovery Program. Here, we need to identify and provide capacity building for reskilling and upskilling of tourism workers, especially those displaced workers in the formal and informal sectors. We will also be doing consultations. This is very important, and we're very excited because I think long overdue na siya, no? We will also be doing consultations for the updating and of the Philippine Tourism Human Resource Development Plan. And we continue to develop and enhance training modules which will be responsive to the needs of the industry. since more and more are going online, so we need to update and we need to review our training modules. And despite the challenges, we intend to pursue monitoring and impact evaluation. We would also like to thank our convergence, our partners in tourism human capital development. Among these are the TIBFI, who is on its 40th year, and we take pride that TIBFI is the longest surviving industry board since the labor code was enacted. Of course, we have the TESDA, who stands as the Tourism Professional Certification Board. We have the Commission on Higher Education, the Department of Agriculture, the DepEd, Philippine National Police, the Department of Trade and Industry, and the Philippine Trade Training Center, who we recently partnered with for our Reboot Tourism Now series. Actually, hindi pa po kami tapos. Our last series with PTTC and DTI will be this Thursday. No? So para po, sana you join us this Thursday. And we also have the DNR, the NCDA, Friends International, and other organizations. There is much more to be done, but we know that with our convergence partners, we can work together, not just for a glimmer, but a bigger hope for our tourism workers. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay ang TIBFI, mabuhay ang industriya ng turismo. Dean Beth.
Thank you very much, Director Wang. Indeed, training and capacity building shouldn't stop. And we're very appreciative of the projects of the Department of Tourism. And currently, we are live streaming via DOT Trains. And we have a lot of subscribers already, just like what's been happening in all of the programs that you've initiated. Okay, thank you very much. And at this point, we would like to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker has an outstanding work accomplishments with the Department of Tourism as the OIMD Director. She also served as the DOT Region 12 Regional Director, DTI SK Provincial Director. Among her many milestones includes being awarded as the Ulirang Ina for Public Service, and of course being awarded as the Women Leader of the World representing the Philippines. She celebrated also the efforts of tribal women in the promotion of indigenous cultures and strengthened bird tourism in the Philippines. She finished her master's in public administration from Notre Dame University, and she has a degree in mass communications from UP Diliman. Currently, she serves as the OIC Executive Director of the Department of Trade and Industry. Ladies and gentlemen, this admirable lady deserves a very warm round of applause on the virtual floor. Director Nelly Nita Deliera. Hi, Director Nelly.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dean Beth. Good morning, Director Tina. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be back to the tourism industry. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share the programs of the Philippine Trade Training Center. We're actually the training arm of the Department of Trade and Industry. Okay, so here we go. Wait, there you go. So I actually aligned with the requirement or what you based in your, or what you communicated to us to focus on COVID proofing training programs. Okay, so let me just go to my first slide. I think, are you sharing? Are we already sharing? Can we just share? Okay, it's good to see all our partners here from the private sector, the tourism industry. I saw early on partners from properties. Of course, Cesar Cruz was also there. Director Weng, thank you very much for sharing. And actually, nag-a-adlib lang ako no, habang sinishare natin yung material. Okay na tayo. Okay, actually, it's SONA this day, di ba? So I hope we're not, we're not dividing the attention of our viewers for the SONA and for this one. I think we will still have a good time later to catch whatever our president has said in the zona. Okay, are we good?
You can
Okay,
start
so
sharing now, ma'am.
yes, go. Can you share, Danica, or I'll share? Yan Dan. Naglo-load. Oh, wait. Okay.
All right.
Okay, we have it already on screen.
Maybe you can make it presentation view, ma'am, please.
Yeah. Sige. Actually, I'm okay kanina. Pinasa ko lang kasi yung slide sharing. But I think we're good. Are we good? Stop sharing from my end. Oh, sorry. I think I'm eating the time. Wait, sorry. Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, sige. Go ahead, Danica. Okay, sige. Dapat ako na nag-share, ano? Okay na, we're good?
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
sige. Okay, go. Next slide. Okay, the Philippines has actually seen a lot of challenges. Okay, a lot of challenges confronting business enterprises. Challenges range from man-made calamities to natural disasters like typhoons, drought, volcanic eruption, and the greatest that disrupted business operations was COVID-19. So we experienced the lockdown, right? We experienced the quarantine, and the question now is what next? Given what we have experienced and given where we are right now, I think all the sectors, our MSMEs are actually the ones that are greatly affected. Okay, MSMEs from the tourism sector, from food, from lifestyle, from the creative industry, all the sectors actually are affected by COVID-19. MSMEs, as we have always been saying, are the backbone of our economy. They comprise more than 98% of our enterprises, and they provide at least 60% of our total employment. So kung ganun kadami, ganun kadami yung enterprises natin, ganun kadami yung nai-employ ng ating MSMEs, how could we, especially those in the government or even those who can afford to really help them, not help them? So it's actually the need to support, to bounce back and build better and resilient enterprises. It is to help build back better by supporting MSMEs in rebuilding, recovering, and enhancing their resiliency that PTTC GMEA can potentially play a role. As what Director Weng was saying early on, we have to adjust, we have to adapt, we have to align. And PTTC, as a training arm of DTI, cannot be static in this very dynamic world. Okay, and our next slide will actually show us that even while the programs are ongoing, we already started reviewing our directions to see how we can best align them to the evolving requirements of a changing business environment. It is not just the industries and enterprises asking the important strategic questions. We must start by first asking them of ourselves. So even as I mentioned to you, the next slides, what we are doing, we also assure that our constituents, that we are doing these activities while calibrating our future responses to the requirements. So we've actually been also discussing this with the private sector, specific sectors at that, and see how we can best help them. We have a program now which we launched, Ascend. This is our comprehensive approach to reskilling and upskilling. We're looking at a whole DTI approach. Kasi hindi pwedeng, di ba, hindi pwedeng silo, hindi pwedeng kanya-kanya lang. So if we talk about the Department of Trade and Industry, for example, we already have product development that looks into, of course, the development of the product. It's under the purview of the Design Center of the Philippines. We also have the BDTP and CITEM. They're actually the ones looking into the domestic trade promotion and international trade promotion. And soon, we will be in partnership with Small Business Corporation for the HEROES program. This will actually provide financing program, particularly to the OFWs, but they have to undergo trainings under PTTC on business planning. Because I think we cannot just afford for the government to provide financial assistance to MSMEs by not also helping them how to plan and how to run and eventually how to, you know, market whatever products or whatever business they are in. So that's that. And as I was also mentioning early on, we're also into ADI meaning analyzing or getting in touch with our partners, because after all, we cannot just dictate the content of our training if we do not, you know, consult with them or find out what is really their need, what are the gaps, and particularly what is the market requirement of the world. These are things that we have to consider to be responsive and to be relevant. So there are modules alignment, there are learning management system, which were, this is actually similar to how they're doing it in higher education, because we also wanted to track whether or not all the participants are completing or if there are positive changes in the programs, you know, in attending the training in our programs and implementing it in their respective companies. So technology and innovation is also one thing that we're looking at. We have a program which I will share to you in a while. Okay, these are the programs of PTTC. We have around 300 training programs, okay? Shown on our next slide, 300 training programs, modules, and programs that encompass the different business functions. Previous slide, please. Previous slide. Previous slide. Okay. Okay, so ayan po, the business functions. If you know, kasi some people would be asking, what is the difference of the training programs of PTTC and TESDA? Director Patti will be presenting later. And of course, what is our difference between DOT-OIMD? So basically, PTTC, as the training arm of DTI, focuses on the business function. So kung negosyo, di ba, you learn the skills in the training of TESDA, but if you want to earn from that skill that you learned from TESDA, go to PTTC because we will teach you how to run it as a business. So meron tayo diyang HR, may financing, may, ano pang nandito natin sa screen? May marketing, management, logistics and supply chain, and of course, market certification. Market certification is very important because we're actually looking at what is actually the requirement of countries abroad. Kasi hindi naman natin pwedeng, halimbawa, magbenta tayo ng halal product. Halal is market-centric. A particular country would have its own standard if they will buy halal products from the Philippines. So that's something that we have to align with. Okay, HACCP, okay, GMP and all that have to be studied upon and taking into consideration the requirements of other countries. Okay, so 300 siyang lahat, and these are actually offered year-round. But most of this, in our next slide, that's our slide, will actually teach us or tell us, previous slide, will actually tell us that we have actually started converting them to online material. Kasi gone are the days na when we conduct training, 8 hours straight for 2 days. Hindi kaya yon, di ba? So we were actually trying to pick up what are the most salient features when we do webinars for 1 hour and 2 hours, but still being able to cover everything that was covered before. So yan po yung ginagawa natin. These are online materials that we are already putting through webinars or running through webinars. Our next slide will actually show us ano ba yung naging impact ng COVID. Yan, di ba? Ramdam natin yan. Contactless. Okay? Sinasabi natin contactless, so we're making use of e-payment and all that. Low-touch economy. By the way, tomorrow I'd like to take this opportunity of inviting you. We have resource person from, I think he's from Spain, ba? Okay, who will be talking about low-touch economy. It's a webinar that will be run by our design center. And all of us were doing work from home. And I think mga maliliit na kanya-kanya mga spaces natin, we've made use of it as our spaces to reach a lot of people virtually. And of course, yung online natin selling and all that is what COVID-19 has brought up. And COVID-proofing through technologies, I think what a lot of people has adapted nowadays and has a lot of people agreed upon. We provide information. The first run is we provide information on the available application, the enablers, and the software. As what Director Weng was mentioning early on, we actually partnered with DOT, of course, the DTI e-commerce, to teach or to share to our MSMEs para po ma-share sa inyo kung ano ba yung mga enablers, ano yung mga software, ano yung mga applications na available. Kasi if we do not know these applications, if we do not appreciate how these are used, I think hindi tayo makakalampas doon sa Facebook sharing lang and Facebook liking. I think the objective is for us to be able to sell. So what platforms, what software do we use? Kaya pumunta tayo doon sa next chain niya, which is integrating digitalization in the business processes. Kasi ngayon, sabi nga, di ba, kahit na doon sa bookkeeping, financing, and accounting, even if you're at home, but if you're making use of the technology, you can actually monitor. You can actually, not manipulate or influence or provide inputs to everyone in your organization if you're using digital, if you're using applications or softwares that can be shared to anyone in the organization. So example lang po yon. So it's actually integrating digitalization to the different business processes for us to be able to COVID-proof. So kahit may social distancing, kahit na may lockdown, kahit na may quarantine, we just stay at home, but we're still able to access and we're still able to get in touch or be connected with our colleagues in the office through digital. Ganun po, pwede yon. And of course, digital business. Abangan lang po ninyo, yung control biz natin, Reboot Now, it's actually a daily, before it was a daily series, but for the DOT OIMD partnership, it became Thursdays, every Thursday. And I think the next part would be with the Kain Na, with Asik Berna. So it's something that you can also look forward to because it's control biz, particularly for the Kain Na or for the food sector. So business strategies and business models are now coming out given the situation. So in addition, we have 137 e-learning modules already available. And thank you, of course, to PTTC staff and of course to our partners, ASEAN Academy, SME Academy. We also have the International Trade Center and the International Chamber of Commerce Academy, which are actually putting also their modules online para po magamit ng ating mga MSMEs. Okay, and next is, these are the contents that we have right now for PTTC. I think it also covers, okay, the business functions. And next slide will be ASEAN. Okay, yan yung mga contents. For ITC, just to show you, just to run you through the contents that we already have. And of course, the International Chamber of Commerce. And for technology, we're also happy to inform you that we have DigiFab. Yung DigiFab po, it's fabricating company or fabricating hub that we have in PTTC. So if you are thinking of tools or equipment that you want prototypes to be produced from this, we can actually do that. Yung time po ng lockdown, we were actually able to produce designs, digital designs, and we were able to produce masks, making use of the 3D printing and all the other equipment that we have in PTTC. And of course, we have evolved. Director Weng was mentioning about webinars early on. We've actually also been doing webinars, as many as 3 per day. And we have evolved, Director Weng. Sabi nga before, no, ginagamit natin, walang tarpaulin printing for background, nag-tarpapel tayo. And then right now, we're very happy to inform you that we have gone through green screen or yung chroma key. So these are evolution that we've been doing in in the government because we really wanted to reach our consumers. And right before I end, I'd like to share to you a video of what PTTC is, just to encapsulate what DTI, Philippine Trade Training Center Global MSME Academy is doing to all of you. So if we can just play this slide or the video, please. And I'll be going to my last one slide. Yes, Arnold, go ahead.
family business, you
Our team is the one that
kayo
takes
sa
care of it.
mundo. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Danica. Before we go to my last slide, last two slides actually, ito nga kanina binabanggit ko lang Sona, nakikita natin ngayon sa feed natin sa Facebook, maraming mga, questioning the government, asking what we have been doing, asking ano ba nagawa na natin. Ang daming, di ba? Siguro sa panahon na ito nga kailangan siguro talaga natin magkaisa. We have actually been sharing this to you. Ang sabi nga natin, with communication, half the battle is won. I think for the people in the government right now who are watching, at kasama ko dito po sa panel, I think we should not stop telling the people that we're doing something. Kasi nakakasama ng loob, di ba? Makikita natin mga kababayan natin, tinitira ang government. And yet, here we are doing whatever we can, risking going out of our homes just to be able to reach all of you. Ang point lang natin dito naman, siguro yung mga nasa government, maganda rin siguro i-emphasize natin na we should not give the private sector reason to question whether or not we're doing our work or not in the government. Kasi the resources are with us. So importante ngayon, do not give them reason to question us. Do not give them reason to be dissatisfied. Give them reason na tayo makita may ginagawa and we're actually making use of the taxes that they pay us for our salaries and deliver also whatever we can for the betterment of the government, of the people. It's not the government, but actually the people. And siguro ito lang, last two slides, COVID-19 is actually the impetus. It's actually the accelerator to digital transformation. So lahat po tayo, nasa government or nasa private sector, we've been providing you all these things. We're going out of our way to deliver information with the private sector. Sana naman po, we will make use of this information. We will make use of these learned skills for the betterment of ourselves, for the betterment of our community. So technology, sabi nga, must be used to increase customer satisfaction. And customer satisfaction or customer is still the king, but the only way that we can make them the king is for them to understand and really appreciate and find out how to make use of the technology for their advancement. And ending my note, who will survive? Charles Darwin said that the future does not belong to the biggest and the fastest, but to those who can adapt the best to the new environment. But the ones that will thrive in the changed world are those that are the most resilient. Ladies and gentlemen, from the DTI Philippine Trade Training Center, thank you very much po. Magandang araw.
Thank you very much, Director Nelly. Those are really very insightful perspectives coming from a dedicated public servant. And of course, we appreciate, the hundreds of projects that you've been giving the Filipino people. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions later on. And so we would like to advise our participants that we may a little bit go on over time. I'm sure we will be able to feed our minds at this point. And in line with that, I would proceed now to our next speaker. another very impressive speaker we have this morning. She has been the executive director of the planning office, and among her career milestones includes being one of the pillars of ASEAN MRA for tourism professionals. She finished her degree AB Economics from the University of the Philippines, Manila, and she has a Master's of Statistics, again from UP. And she has pioneered and attended training programs in the areas of management, planning, monitoring, and evaluation, TVET systems, quality assurance, assessment and certification, ICT, and project management, among others. Currently, she is the director of the Certifications Office of the TESDA. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome on the virtual floor the very active and energetic Director of Certifications Office, Maria Susan Istati de la Rama. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. Wow, that was an impressive presentation by Director Nelly. So this presentation might fail in comparison, but let me give my best. But I'll make this short in the interest of time. We are running out of time already. So what I will share with you is what is in store for TIBET. Yes, there's a glimmer of hope, but we're slowly making it. And so this is the TIBET arrangements under the transitional phase. In the participants, I think it was mentioned that we have from TESDA, and I guess that's both public and private TIBET institutions who are with us now. Some of you may have already seen the presentation under our new normal TIBET arrangements. So this is just a quick one. And then we move on to what's been happening also in TESDA. So we're guided by this three-phased approach by NEDA. So we passed the survival stage. And at that point in March, we actually issued a circular saying that all classes and all assessment activities are suspended. And that is really in compliance also with the IATF guidelines. So no training activities, no assessment. And that was something that is really not good for all of us, right? So we're now in the transitional phase, July to December, and we've developed some guidelines. We've developed some adjustments, so our clients will be able to start learning anew in technical vocational education and training. So the third phase will be next year. And we have developed an operational plan for all these three phases. So now under the transitional phase, let me just give a brief picture of the TIBET sector. So we have 4,464 TIBET institutions all over the country, 4,971 assessment centers, because you can also be an assessment center even if you're not a TVI. And there were 16,863. This was as of some of the data here is as of February. 16,863 trainers, both public and private, and 10,460 competency assessors. Actually, these are those affected by our lockdown when we started with the ECQ back in March. And of course, the TIBET institutions in the private sector, they are the most heavily affected because they have closed down, and some of them, they have no work, no pay. So That is the situation in the Tibet sector. And out of that, in the tourism alone, we have 1,716 technical vocational institutions, and that comprise 38% of the total. The biggest really of the Tibet institutions, the biggest sector is in the tourism sector. And then the assessment centers, we have 1,032 out of the total, and that's 28.8%, 20.8%. And for the competency assessors, we have 24% at 2,515. So that's how big the impact is on the tourism tech voc sector. So we've done this in preparation for the transitional phase. In June, we requested for our implementation arrangements, and the IATF issued this resolution number 47, where it included already Tibet arrangement. So it allowed us to resume, but under the general quarantine areas, the GCQ areas, we will be only allowed for training programs under agriculture, fishery qualifications, and also for food production and processing. Because in agriculture and fishery, these training programs are done in the farms, and so they have enough space, and the measures, health measures can be done. Also, in the enterprise-based training and in-plant training programs with partner companies, it would depend in the IATF omnibus guidelines. So if they are operating and if they can accommodate, then they can accommodate the enterprise-based training students or trainees who are on their OJT, or what we call them supervised industry learning, or even those that are really enterprise-based under apprenticeship and are other modes of enterprise-based training. Still under the GCQ areas, in GCQ areas, what we can allow is the virtual assessment and portfolio assessment for trainers methodology. So our trainers methodology assessment is in the form of a written test, and then there's a demonstration on how to conduct training, and there are portfolio to be submitted. So this can be done virtually, and the portfolio can be submitted. The assessment here is done by a panel of 3 members. And so we've actually simulated this, and we've practiced, and we have now operating procedures on how to conduct virtual and portfolio assessment for trainers. And well, portfolio assessment is what is being vigorously pursued now. Since portfolio, you just have to submit documents and proof that you have already undertaken training, as well as, and most importantly, these are for those who have work experience for at least 5 years. So we are inviting workers from the different industries, most especially from the Tourism Industry Board. Please, you can have yourselves assessed and be issued a national certificate by just submitting documents. There is also a panel of 3 members. Some of you, especially our national experts who are also the ASEAN trainers and assessors, are our portfolio assessors. So we welcome all applications for portfolio assessment. And it will also be open to industry associations, as I've mentioned, to companies and overseas Filipino workers. Those who are abroad, we are actually, before the COVID, we are going there and conducting assessment for our OFWs. But since the lockdown, we cannot anymore travel, and until the end of the year, we have restrictions in the government to go into foreign travels, and still naman that the flights are on hold. So We will do this next year, but what they can do is to submit documents so we can issue them the national certificates if they comply with the requirements. And so the virtual assessment, there are some qualifications that may be done virtually, but subject to guidelines. So our QESO, or Qualification and Standards Office, is looking into the different modes of assessment. All of them, most of our assessment is on a face-to-face mode. So we have to really get back to work on how the assessment tools can be made into online or virtual mode. So we have the TESDA online program. What is allowed is our online program, our flexible learning mode. And luckily in our TESDA online, we've been developing for the past, since 2012. So for the past 7 to 8 years, we've been developing programs for our TESDA online. And the very first programs that we've developed are for tourism. So we have the bread and pastry production, cookery, food and beverage services, front office services, and housekeeping in our TESDA online program. And these are all for free. We have also been tapping the ASEAN experts, the ASEAN trainers and assessors in the development of these online modules. So if the DepEd and CHED have the toolboxes, we have this TESDA online program, which are actually also based on the ASEAN MRA toolboxes. So it's a combination of what's in the toolboxes and also in our own training regulations. So if you finish this, you can go for assessment and have a national certificate. We've started with these programs under the TESDA online program because we believe that these are the programs that you can do at home, actually, because we have the tools and equipment, except for barista, which is really expensive. But some of the things here can be found in your home. So these are the first things that we've developed, and now they are in full qualifications. So the portfolio assessment, these are the requirements. It seems long, but these are really just easy if you have in stock your documents. So you are eligible if you have at least work experience of 5 years. And then there's a self-assessment guide that you shall accomplish, and this can be found in the TESDA website. The links of these documents are actually provided in our letter to the TIBFI. So we sent it to Chris Aquino, Miss Chris Aquino. So provide appropriate evidences of competencies and qualifications. So the documentary evidences will include your resume, certificate of employment with job description, and a video coverage showing the tasks that you are performing while at work. So some say that this is difficult to do because you have not had the videos when you were working, but probably you have, or maybe pictures will do also. And then any of the two of this requirements, so any work sample, if you have awards, and if there are photos, like I said, and the training certificates or workplace training records. So any two of these 4 requirements. So please, those who are interested, you may submit, and the email address is also in the letter sent to Ms. Aquino. So for the implementation arrangements, as I mentioned, we have full online e-learning training programs that is allowed. Distance learning, that means from work, from training centers, and we will send you learning materials. Our training institutions can send learning materials for those who have no connectivity. And then there are also blended learning, both in school and in the online. So as you can already study first on the online and then go to school later for the face-to-face, and that's online. And we're saying here that only learners aged between 21 to 59 years old will be allowed to attend the face-to-face part of the blended learning. And in the modified GCQ, so we can already allow us, but subject to, we can already allow face-to-face training and assessment activities, but subject to, as always, with the IATF, TESDA guidelines. We have issued the TESDA guidelines. And of course, very important are the LGU. So even if we allow you and the local government units do not allow yet, then you have to follow the LGUs. So there are training protocols, administrative protocols that we have issued, just like in the hotels. They have a lot of protocols that have to be met, and we are also implementing that. And that is mandatory for all the training institutions that will implement the face-to-face mode. For training regulations, these are already what we have. There are 21 qualifications that have been developed so far. And now we're into the pilot testing of the ASEAN Guiding Principles for Quality Assurance and Recognition of Competency Certification System. So for information of those who have not been into our campuses, there is this ASEAN Guiding Principles, which was approved by the ASEAN leaders. And this will be the proof. We have the ASEAN MRA on tourism professionals, right? So having passed also this ASEAN Guiding Principles will make the ASEAN member states confident that the professionals, tourism professionals, that they will be employing with the national certificates or certification systems from all the ASEAN member states are really qualified and have gone through a quality assured assessment and certification system. And for our pilot, we have chosen the tourism sector because we already have the ASEAN MRA, so it's already in place. And these are the pilot countries: the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And Ms. Chris Aquino is one of us in the team. There's a 5-man delegation that attends to the benchmarking of the different assessment and certification systems in these 3 countries. And so I won't go through this, but this is really what it says, that we are piloting the ASEAN Guiding Principles. And the result of this pilot project will be shared to other AMS for further development and for all the AMS to hopefully adopt these ASEAN Guiding Principles. These are principles and protocols that we have to adopt and we have to benchmark with. We have to be aligned in order for us, our national certificates and the certificates issued by other countries be recognized within the ASEAN member states. So we have the AQRF, or the ASEAN Qualifications Referencing Framework. We have the ASEAN MRAs, and for us, we have the ASEAN MRA on tourism professionals, and we have the ASEAN Guiding Principles. So graphically, what this means is that with this, given this, the ASEAN MRA is for the recognition of qualifications, the AQRF is for the harmonization of qualifications, and the ASEAN Guiding Principles provide the framework for the recognition of these qualifications talked about and accepted under ASEAN MRA and AQRF. But all in all, this would lead to the mobility of professionals and competitiveness of our ASEAN professionals. So the status now, we're conducting virtual monitoring visits or audit in the 3 pilot AMS. Last week, we conducted the first one in Indonesia. So Ms. Chris Aquino was also with us as observer. There are only 2 from each country who are auditors, and that's us from TESDA with Director Amy Taganas. In 2 weeks from now, they will be visiting virtually the Philippines, and we will demonstrate how we are conducting our assessment and certification here in the Philippines. So that's for now. Thank you, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you very much, Director Patty. So now we see that everything is happening virtually. And we're very glad that you've shared a lot of projects from TESDA and that we are, the forerunner in terms of ASEAN MRA. Thank you very much for that. And of course, moving on to our last speaker, definitely last, but not the least, of course, we have this young gentleman. He spearheads Bayan Academy's consultancy, research, education, and training initiatives with management, entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurship as main focus areas. He has undertaken numerous areas in industry studies, feasibility studies, impact assessments, market and beneficiary profiling, and organizational assessments, and has worked hand in hand with World Bank, NHA, SSS, and TESDA, among others. He finished his BS Management and Master in Entrepreneurship Social Enterprise Development from the Ateneo de Manila University. Currently, he is the Director of Bayan Academy in the areas of consultancy and research, technologies or CREST, Bayan Educational Systems and Technologies or BEST, and training of professionals or TOP. Please welcome on the virtual stage, Mr. Carlo S. Sagul. Mr. Carlo.
Hi, good morning to everyone in this webinar. I'm following the presentations of our government agencies. Just for the benefit of everyone who still hasn't heard about Bayan Academy, we're an NGO. We're part of the third sector. We're a small NGO that's primarily located in Quezon City and Metro Manila. But as an NGO, we're also helping a lot of the endeavors of our government agencies. And in fact, we've worked with TESDA, DOT, and DTI in the past, and even with current endeavors. So just to give everyone a short introduction of what Bayan Academy is all about before I move on to the meat of the presentation, of the 10-minute presentation, which is about really our training programs. It's relevant for the issues that were discussed this morning. Bayan Academy historically has delivered entrepreneurship, management, and education programs. Even before the COVID crisis happened, we've already had our online learning management system, and we've been delivering our education programs through this system. And we've traditionally serviced a lot of livelihood and skills training courses. We've been implementing corporate social responsibility programs and even implementing some of the programs of our government agencies. So we're positioned as a servicer of servicers, meaning we help these people who really have a magnitude of beneficiaries under them such that we can actually deliver our programs nationwide. So we've historically worked with corporations, as I said, government, schools, and like-minded organizations in development. So we have these focus areas. We've aimed to democratize entrepreneurship, employment, education, environment, and ethics. So as you will see later on, I'll be focusing on our initiative now with regard to employment, right? And to deliver the democratization of these 5 E's, as mentioned by Dr. Beth, we have consultancy and research initiatives, training initiatives, and education initiatives. So we're also running the master's program in entrepreneurship in Ateneo Graduate School of Business. We're led by this man right here, Dr. Ed Morato, who was a former dean of AIM and is currently running the entrepreneurship program in the Ateneo. And basically, he has written 51 books, all of which are being used in the programs that we deliver for the sectors that we serve. Quite recently, we've helped develop the 2018 to 2022 National Technical Education and Skills Development Plan, which is primarily being spearheaded by TESDA. So in the bringing down of that plan in the industries, in the priority industries identified, we've actually worked with the industry captains of the 8 priority industries that would generate the most employment in the Duterte administration. And the topmost industry or the priority industry in terms of the number of employees to be generated in this planning cycle was actually tourism. That's why we had this great chance of working with TIBFI and even DOT in the technical working groups that we've conducted. So, given that, we now move on to the program at hand that I want to share with the participants of this webinar, wherein during the lockdown, it was actually the busiest that we've been in Bayan Academy because you wanted to reposition and stay relevant in the sectors that we serve. Of course, you've heard the enterprise sector, the education sector, and the employment sector. For the employment sector, we have sulong trabajo because we foresaw that a lot of the enterprises, even the large ones, would be laying off their workers due to the crisis, not because they want to, but because they want to sustain their operations as well. So I'll tell you more about this now. Well, during the presentation of Mr. Tawano a while ago, it was mentioned, and Mr. Tawano and Mr. Cruz of PhilTowa, it was mentioned that the tourism industry was actually performing well as of end of 2019. In fact, as mentioned in our studies before with TESDA and the TIBFI, we actually said that the tourism industry is a top priority, primarily because of the high multiplier effect. As mentioned by Mr. Cruz a while ago, it generated around 3.4 trillion, right? Just in 2019 alone. And because of that, it has the potential to be highly inclusive, meaning its effects can really be brought down to the community level because of the MSMEs that are included in the entire industry. So that was the bright situation before. But now, as mentioned by Mr. Tuano, there are issues of liquidity across the entire industry, and there's laying off of workers everywhere. As an indicator, he mentioned that 419 out of the 439 associations under their network have closed. So that's 95% of the enterprises under them, under their association. So that's a very bleak indicator of what's happening right now. And as mentioned also by Mr. Tuano, the HR of the industry in general is needing some handling, some assistance in handling the laying off or retrenching their employees. And that's what sulong trabajo is all about. The aim primarily is really to help companies in this very hard situation wherein they have to make this hard and difficult situation to retrench or lay off their employees, right? It's, as I've said, it's not something that they want to do, but it's a necessity such that they can keep their operations alive, right? And from the employee's perspective, it's also a means for us to give this mindset that this whole situation is not just an unfortunate situation. It can also be seen as an opportunity to get back stronger and with a clearer personal purpose with regard to their careers, right? So the Sulong Trabajo program actually has 2 cohorts. It has the professional upskilling, which is actually for the rank and file employees and the supervisors, and the manager's career advancement, which is really for the managers and up, because we found from our research that it's not just the rank and file employees who are being retrenched. For the professional upskilling, or for the one for rank and file and supervisory employees, we have this particular design. The first module will focus on career assessment and personal coaching, wherein they will be guided on identifying their strengths and weaknesses as individuals through the self-assessment. There will be an overview of employment and self-employment opportunities that are out there given the new economy. So we've researched on that. And lastly, there's the very important topic of personal finance. Now that they're actually quite limited with regard to resources, how can they manage it well, right? And for the second module, it will be divided into 2 tracks: the re-employment track or the self-employment or enterprise development track. So in the first module, they've been updated about the opportunities in employment and self-employment. In the second module, they'll be updated or lectured on the preparing for employment topics such as CV writing, acing an interview, particularly in face-to-face, and now, more relevantly, online. How can they package themselves really well after knowing their critical strengths that they can use for this new economy? And they'll get an access to a job platform wherein they'll be connected to the demand, right, of employment. Then for the self-employment track, there's the entrepreneurship sprint course. So it's a 1-week course on the universe of topics on enterprise development, such that they can start, they know how to start one right after the course. And towards the end, they'll have an access to a market platform wherein they can sell their products later on, and they can even find suppliers and distributors. For the manager's cohort, there's the self-mastery sprint course. It's actually the most in-demand course that we have. It's actually based on one of the books of Dr. Ed Morato on the 7 lifelong learning skills that are very critical for the development of individuals, but are quite ignored in the traditional academic setting. So learning to think is part of it, learning to intuit, learning to feel, learning to communicate, learning to do, learning to lead, and learning to become the best people that they can become. So that's the anchor of the manager's career advancement course. And towards the end, the insights that they generate from this will be used as inputs for their career assessment and pathing. And again, the last module will be in personal finance. A lot of these managers will have separation pays in lump sum, and we want to make sure that they use it well and they invest on it well. So just to give an overview of how the course will look like, it's actually going to run for 2 weeks each. For the one for professional upskilling, the first week will be on career assessment, personal coaching. Then it will be divided into 2 tracks come the second week. So there will be the preparing for employment and then the entrepreneurship sprint course as explained. Then towards the end, they'll be aided through the job platform and the market platform. So this will not end here. It will be a continuous intervention that we will give them. So we will be having a continuous help desk wherein they can continuously be connected to the demand, right? And we will continuously assist them. And then for the manager's cohort, there's the self-mastery sprint course, and towards the end, the career assessment and personal finance. So, well, Bayan Academy is a PCNC accredited NGO. What this means for the corporations who are availing of the trainings would be anything that they donate in relation to these services, we will provide a certificate of donation for, meaning it's as if they're paying their taxes in advance because it will have the effect of making the full donation a tax deduction, right, for these companies. So for inquiries, of course, 10 minutes will not be enough to fully explain it. For inquiries on the Sulong Trabaho program that we have, the details are flashed in front. You can just take a photo and contact me anytime through the email, sulongtrabaho@bayanacademy.edu.ph, or through my mobile number, which is 0917-795-3660. You can also visit us in our website, bayanacademy.org. Thank you very much, Dr. Beth.
Thank you very much, Sir Carlo, and for sharing, of course, the initiatives of Bayan Academy. And of course, you know, our cups are full right now, and we would like to open the floor for the Q&A. Thank you very much to all the participants who were able to pose their questions. A lot of interesting questions, and of course, we'd like to acknowledge our speakers for this morning who were able to answer a number of questions already. And for the questions that we will not be able to answer, we will find a way to reach out to you so that your questions will be given attention. Okay, so once again, we'd like to thank our panelists. And starting with the first question, we would like to address this with the tourism industry partners. So this would be Ms. Divine, Sir Richie, and Sir Cesar Cruz. First question is, how does this new normal affects your human resource requirements? And what competencies do our graduates need to develop? This question is from the member of the academy. Anyone can start to answer. Either Ms. Divine, Sir Richie, or Sir Cesar. How does the new normal affected your human resource requirements, and what are the new competencies that we need to teach our students in the academy?
Sige, I'll answer the question, Dean Beth. Actually, I replied no to, I have time kanina to reply, but just to share with everyone that this pandemic really taught us to adjust 360 degrees, and it's really difficult for us. But as part of human resources, we have to know how we can help and lift the spirit not only of our employees but the students. And in fact, we have introduced the iAcademy program by Mega World Hotels. We have partnered with some universities already, and we have experts from different departments of our properties to conduct the training. And of course, to answer also what competencies that needs to be developed, I think graduates now they need to develop their resiliency and agility. Because we have to be very, very flexible and be ready to recover from whatever adversity we are facing. And once we have recovered from any challenges, we have to move faster and to be able to move forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Divine. Can we hear it now from Sir Richie or Sir Cesar?
Hello, hi. Yeah. Okay. This is a very tough question to answer, Lilibet. To be honest, with the travel agents being wrapped with all the uncertainties, the employment requirement under the new normal seems to be very cloudy, I should say, as of the moment. As I've mentioned during my presentation, we have actually closed down our offices, and we are contemplating of actually reducing manpower. I don't see in the near future the industry of the travel agents would be requiring immediate need of manpower, at least in the next 6 months, I would say. So I'm afraid I don't have any good news to say to our academe as of the moment, but we are hopeful together with the rest of the stakeholders that things will be better as soon as possible, so that we can recoup what we have lost.
Thank you very much, Sir Richie. Sir Cesar?
Just like Richie, I really want to give something positive, no, for that person who's asking this question. But I don't want to give also some false expectations. No? The reality is in the ground, actually. As mentioned already, it is expected that it will take another 5 years to reach the situation on the pre-COVID times. No, so look at it this way. Even if, for example, offices will open, they cannot operate with full capacity staffing, because basically their production is really the law, the rule. The production or the income possibility or the potential to generate income is really way, way below. And so basically the owners of this company would just have to go within the level of what they can. As what Richie said already, surviving alone is already a big challenge. You know? It's a big problem now. Even those offices who have not officially declared bankruptcy or closure, it will be impossible to open with a full 100% staffing capacity. So needless to say that for the graduating students at this point, kaya naman yan, no? Pero dapat you need a lot of flexibility at this point. Core competencies that you might require would be, as has been discussed by all the speakers is actually digitalization. No, should be a good IT, acquire more skills on IT technology, digital technology, because at this point, this is the direction where the industry is also going. Um, I hope I can say something more better or more to hearten the heart of the person who asked the question. But really, this is the reality on the ground as far as the tourism industry is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, we appreciate the realistic viewpoint at this point. And in fact, a lot of our academia participants are asking about the actual engagement of our future in hospitality and tourism professionals. So I think you've answered them already. And then the impact of what's happening right now to our graduating students. I now move on to ask our training and business options speakers, Director Wang, Director Nelly, Director Patty, and Sir Carlo. We are very appreciative of the programs that you've delivered this morning. Do you feel that you're hitting your targets in terms of these new approaches in training and education? And what are the gaps in terms of reaching out to your stakeholders? Because I believe you've transformed training and capacity building programs online and also virtually. And so are we hitting the targets? Are you reaching your objectives? And then what are the gaps that you were able to discover? You can hear it from anyone.
Yeah,
Dr.
Beth,
Beth
can I
may...
answer first?
Okay, so let's hear it from Director Wang. Director Wang, please.
Yes, thank you, Dean. We're actually, everybody knows that when it comes to the tourism industry, it's for one to learn is to face talaga kasi actually because it's service. It's not selling a product na you buy and then it's given to you. Tourism is service, and so that is really there. That's why DOT now is trying to convert not all, but the possible lang na trainings online. But we have identified and we are already planning to have parang by phase, no, to adjust naman. Because as I've said, how do we cope with learnings during the new normal? And then pag dumating na yung time na mag-open tayo, yun na lang ba talaga ang learnings nila, makikinig sila sa computer. So we're planning to have trainings by phase. If it is already acceptable, it is going to be approved by IATF because everything now depends on the IATF, the government, to decide on whether we can do face-to-face. We are ready for our new guidelines on the face-to-face trainings, lessening the number of trainees. No, but we're planning to do, as I've said, face-to-face. No, like there should be an online learning first, and then later on the face-to-face training. Because I think din there is really that need. No, na talagang yun na nga ang concern It's how do you prepare them, especially those who are graduating very soon this year and the following years. How do they learn? So that is our way of helping the graduates and even those frontliners now who have been displaced. We really do not want them to forget kung ano talaga. So we upskill, we reskill. That is OIMD, or the Department of Tourism is doing. Thank you, Din.
Yes, thank you, Director Wang. Can we hear now from Sir Carlo?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for recognizing Dr. Beth. With regard to hitting our targets in the tourism industry, we've actually taken on this very big hotel enterprise wherein they already enrolled around 1,500 participants who were retrenched from their company, right? It's a big hotel in Metro Manila. And as of now, we're still in the enrollment process of that entire 1,500 student base. And if we're to judge the first objective of the program, the Sulong Trabaho program, which is really to have this better relationship between the retrenching company and the retrenched employees, because after all, it's not something that the companies wanted, right? And when the situation becomes better, maybe these retrenched employees would be the ones that they can take in again. So that's something that we want to address. And initially, after getting the retrenchment notice, these participants couldn't be reached anymore, even with their final computation of their separation pay, right? And given the announcement that we gave, because there are 3 touch points in SMS and in emails and in the personal face-to-face when they actually get the final compensation pay. So those are our touch points for enrolling them. And after we've generated these messages for the retrenched employees, the inquiries started coming in, and the severed relationship between the company, the retrenching company, and the retrenched individual, right, was slowly but surely patched again because of the training program. So in a sense, the training program of Sulong Trabaho actually absorbed some of the negative or the damaging brand equity that this retrenching initiative can do to them. With regard to the actual impact on the side or the perspective of the participants, that has yet to be seen because they're still undergoing the trainings, right? And hopefully, when they get to the job platform access or the market platform access, they can actually be bridged to new employment and new self-employment opportunities. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yes, we're keeping our fingers close, and of course we have to be positive. And let's take a look at where will this lead us. We can hear now from Director Nelly.
Yes, thank you very much, Dean Beth. Okay, 2 things. Targets, how COVID is affecting our target, and the other one is what are the gaps. Okay, for target, being a government agency, I think it's clear that for PTTC in particular, our target is, of course, the number of MSMEs trained, okay, that's company level or individuals trained also, of course. And of course, our very measure, I think what's the very important measure would be what positive impacts do this training have on the participants to our training. Okay, let's go to the first. In terms of number, I think we also have to adjust. If in the past, most of our training were face-to-face, right now, we cannot accomplish the target if we're doing it face-to-face. So I think all of us have been doing webinars, and it actually translated the number of seminars before to the number of webinars right now. So I don't think we will have any problem as far as accomplishing that. That's why we're really fast tracking. Another thing is we're actually partnering with government agencies too. I think there are government agencies which are implementing MSME programs, training programs, but are confronted with challenges like this. So what we do is we offer that they outsource their services for us to be able also to help them or assist them realize their target as well as realizing our targets. There are certain adjustments. Actually, din depth, most of our training programs are for a fee. May bayad kami. But compared with the private institutions, I think we're much cheaper compared with them because yun na nga, government kami, we're subsidized. But right now, most of the training are given for free. Libre siya ngayon, and to transform or to shift because we cannot reach them automatically because of face-to-face problems, we do nga webinars. For areas, communities or regions where we have problems like connectivity and all that, we have actually tried to identify certain nerve centers, parang gathering a number of people, kung ilan lang yung allowed, and then doing the training webinar, but there's somebody else also who will facilitate face-to-face, para hindi naman siya talagang fully on their own. I think we need that. It's actually a blended because we also wanted to realize we also wanted them to really learn. Kasi kung webinar, minsan hayaan mo sila, di ba? Yung attention nila, hindi ganun kahaba, minsan iiwanan nila. But if there seems to be, a facilitator, a semblance of an actual seminar, baka mag-i-stay pa sila. Now, in terms of gap, din Beth, alam natin yung skill. Lahat tayo nagpumunta dito na hindi tayo handa, di ba? Kaya lang nga, siguro sa organization, we can actually do an inventory of sino bang marunong dito, sinong magaling dito. So minsan yung structure na babago. Kung dati ito sila, nandito lang sa organization or sa division na ito, na ganito. But if you find out that there are certain skills that you can make use of in a certain division, i-gather mo sila, parang ganon. I think that will also be applicable, applicable to all. Let's find out what the skills are, capitalize on these resources and all that. And finally, more importantly din Beth, is reach out. Hindi tayo nabubuhay para sa sarili lang natin, di ba? Hindi na tama yung silo, kanya-kanya tayo. I think it's in, bonding together and coming together where our strength will be. So we've reached out, private sector, government sector, and para magiging holistic rin yung assistance natin. Thank you.
That's a very good perspective. We have to start and continue collaborating and networking, and really prove that we're on it together, so that our nation will be able to, withstand all of these challenges right now. Okay, so another question. I think we can address this to...
Dian?
Yes, and Ms. Patty, I'm sorry. Yes, Director Patty.
Kasi I think that really is most relevant to TIBET, Technical Vocational Education and Training. So definitely our targets are affected. For training, we are coping up by introducing flexible learning modes. We have been doing training of trainers for free on how to conduct flexible learning modes. But as you know, TIBET is a competency-based training. There's knowledge, skills, and attitude. And most of our training programs are really skills-based. They have to have hands-on practical skills training. So that is what is really greatly affected. And for assessment, this one we have already projected that we will be only up to 40%. For the year, we can only hit 40% of our target because of the mode of assessment that we are conducting. It is face-to-face, but slowly we are developing new tools, those that can be done virtually and those where we can develop online assessment tools. We are doing this and we are developing this, but it is a slow process, and that really the reliability of the assessment is on seeing how the candidates or the workers are demonstrating their skills. So it's really very difficult. And also our budget has been swept by DBM as early as March when we were into the first community quarantine. 2 billion of our scholarship program has been swept by DBM to be allocated to the social amelioration program. But nevertheless, we still have our scholarship budget, and we're working on really addressing most of the requirements also of the other sectors. Thank you.
I agree with you, Director Patty. It's really different if you can validate the skills and competencies, because most of what we're talking about here in relation to TESDA, all the competencies present, those are really something that you would have to validate yourself, and you cannot really do it online or virtually all the time, right? Okay, so I think I have room for one more question. Most part of the countries are with low connectivity. May I ask what stimulus programs are available and how your respective sectors can help in terms of product technology and development? Again, so I think because this has been a very prevalent comment. We don't have resources, we don't have access, we don't have internet connection. And so how can we help, because we want our programs to be inclusive. And so how can we help these people? Are there any stimulus program? And coming from the different sectors you belong, and how can it help to in terms of product and technology development? Anyone can answer?
Dean Beth.
Yes, Director Nelly.
Okay. For PTTC in particular, for DTI, we have actually DTI regional and provincial offices that they can go to. They are actually very active. I think to address the question squarely, if connectivity is the problem, it was also mentioned by Director Patti early on that we can actually do blended, like providing them also with materials. Okay, another thing, I think a lot of LGUs, di ba? A lot of LGUs have, parang meron silang mga LED wall. We were actually thinking of making use of this. Although, of course, observable pa rin yung social distancing. They have strong connections. They have strong, maganda yung LED wall nila. If we can create siguro nerve centers in the localities. Nerve centers, meaning bringing together a number of people to learn through a training, if training is the very objective, and have someone also facilitate it. Para ganun siya. So let's just maximize whatever resources we have.
It's like parang regional hubs. That's what you're saying, Director Nelly?
Yeah, sort of regional hubs. So mag-host sila. Kumbaga, my wide wall, my LED wall. So the webinar is flashed on that, and then you have a big number. Hindi naman big, yung allowable number of participants lang in there. And then a facilitator can come from a certain agency and facilitate also the webinar. That can be one way of addressing the problem. In terms of product development, I think for government agencies, we're actually spread nationwide. Matter of just reaching out. Wag po nating antayin na tayo po yung puntahan. Siguro do our share also of reaching out to the government and finding out ano ba ang pwede nyo gawin sa amin. Kasi nung panahon, di ba? Nung panahon na maganda yung negosyo namin, kayo yung natutulungan namin in the forms of our taxes, nandito na naman ako taxes, ngayon, kayo yung kailangan namin, ano ba yung pwede nyong itulong. Lumapit lang po tayo, wag nating antayin, tayo po yung nilalapitan minsan. Meet halfway. Thank you, Dean Beth.
Thank you very much. So we need to reach out. Any other points of view from our speakers? Yes, Sir Carlo.
Well, I'll be speaking in behalf of the training programs that we have at Bayan and the issue at hand, where there's really low connectivity in the far-flung areas in the country, especially in the rural areas. Well, even in some urban areas, the connectivity is not that good. And for that, we actually banked on not just our own learning management system, but we also leveraged on platforms such as Facebook. And we've designed it in such a way that we can deliver the content through these minimum bandwidth requirement platforms. So we have the full design through these platforms that, well, it has millions of users. And in terms of reach, from our end, I think that can address it to a certain extent. So we've delivered this in grassroots communities, right? And we've actually successfully delivered some training. So that's one modality that can be done. With regard to the actual internet situation, that's beyond us. So I guess yung medyo tweaking it such that some of the materials can be downloaded and they can proceed with the asynchronous pace of learning. That's something that we purposefully included in the design of the training.
Yeah, we just need to be more creative and innovative in our approach. Correct?
Yes, correct, ma'am.
Any other insights from our speakers? Anyone? If there's none, I think I'm going to proceed with the last question. But before that, I would like to acknowledge all our participants who actively posted their questions in our Q&A tab. We apologize we'll not be able to entertain them all, but I was informed by the chairperson of TIBFI that they will reach out to you through our TIBFI website, and that all of these questions will be addressed. And for our final question, in relation to our topic, because we're talking about glimmer of hope, what are your final thoughts? Is there really a glimmer of hope for tourism and hospitality industry and workers? You may want to share at least one sentence or one parting statement. I'll give all the panelists a chance to respond to this brief question. Shall we start with Ms. Divine? May I call you now? What
Hi,
are your key
Dinbet.
thoughts? Yes, Miss Divine.
Yes, definitely. There's a glimmer hope in the industry. We are badly hit by the pandemic, but we just have to adapt to the new reality.
Okay, adapt to the new reality. May we hear from Sir Richie? Sir
All
Richie?
right. This might be contrary to what I have said earlier. No, if we actually measure how much hope we have, there's really very big hope. Travel and tourism will stay. Travel and tourism will continue. Okay, but it's just a matter of time. When that will be, it's still uncertain. But if we ask, if tourism, travel and tourism will be back, it will definitely be back. And I end with that. Thank you.
That's a glimmer of hope. It's just a matter of time. Now we have Sir Cesar.
Habang buhay naman may pag-asa.
Correct.
This will also last. So basically, there's always that hope, no? Perhaps medyo mahirap at this point, but it will come. The reason why, and I actually believe that the people in the industry, the tourism industry, I find them to be the most innovative, resourceful, and creative people. Itong nangyayari ngayon na to would be just temporary. There will be a silver lining. Naintindihan. So to everybody there, to my colleagues in the industry, let's not hope. There's always that hope. And of course, we'll all rise together in this particular pandemic.
That's correct. As they always say, laban lang, kapit lang. Okay, let's hear it from Director Weng.
Thank you. I agree, no? Alam mo, Pilipino tayo eh. Tayo bumibitiw, di ba? Hindi natin character, hindi natin value yon. Ano mang hirap na pinagdadaanan natin ngayon, I am sure tourism will be back very soon. And that is why we have to prepare for it. No? This is our opportunity to learn and to be skilled. And that is why, because we are very hopeful that we will be back soon. So, kapit lang tayong lahat.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, ma'am. Director Nelly.
Thank you very much, Dean Beth. I'm actually enlightened by the quotation of Charles Darwin, and if I may say it again, sabi nga, it's not the strongest, it's not the brightest, it's not the most intelligent that will survive at this time. There are no hard rules, there are no standards right now. We are all actually evolving. So it's the one who is the most adaptable to change who will survive. Lahat po tayo, kaya nating mag-survive. Let's go out of our comfort zone, risk, and find out how we can help ourselves and help others. Thank you.
That's a very good thought. Thank you very much, Director Nelly. Director Susan? Director Patty?
Yes. So it's a glimmer of hope, not just a glimmer. I think after hearing everyone, it's the light is shimmering. There's really hope. And this pandemic, and this is the real disruption that we have experienced now, that has pushed us to be more innovative using digitalization in whatever form. And also we have learned to be really creative, flexible, and agile in responding to the needs of our clients. So this has really pushed us to be better and be the best in whatever we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Patty. And of course, we have Sir Carlo. Sir Carlo?
Okay, so is there a glimmer of hope? Definitely. I would like to say so. I personally believe so, right? And I think to see that glimmer of hope, first of all, in this crisis, one has to recognize the situation, right? And being aware of the situation, of course, there are negative aspects into it. Just recognize them. If you don't recognize them, you're in trouble because you don't know how to navigate through the situation. After recognizing the negatives, be sure that you recognize the opportunities. That's more important than realizing the negatives, diba? And lastly, after adapting, after seeing the opportunities, adapt in those opportunities. And last but not the least, don't let the crisis affect your mind. Don't let it enter your head. Don't let it change who you are, because that's the last bastion that you will have in this crisis.
Okay, so we have to emerge from this better and stronger. Of course, we have to strengthen our emotions. And of course, at this point, we would like to thank all of you for giving your perspectives. And of course, I would also like to acknowledge our hundreds of participants who stayed on. Hindi nabawasan yung ating audience. I know it's lunchtime. And of course, we would like to pass the floor to Director Tina Aquino for the synthesis.
It's more fun in the Philippines.